For years, I believed I was living the kind of life most men only dreamed of. My name is Octavoius, and until a few months ago, I thought I had everything a man could ever ask for: a loving wife, a beautiful home, and the kind of peace that comes from knowing you've built something real. Claire wasn't just my wife. She was my world. Her smile could quiet the noise of a bad day, and her laughter was a kind of melody that made a house feel like home. I still remember how she'd place her hand on my chest at night, whispering how safe she felt with me. I used to think those words meant something permanent, a promise carved into time. Our marriage wasn't perfect, but it was ours. Or at least, that's what I told myself. The dinners we cooked together, the late-night talks, the quiet mornings with coffee and sunlight, they all painted a picture of love I never thought could fade. But sometimes, perfection is just a carefully drawn illusion, a mask hiding the cracks beneath. I began noticing small things at first. Her phone always turned face down, the faint scent of unfamiliar cologne, the distant look at her eyes when she thought I wasn't watching. Still, I pushed the doubts away. Love makes you blind, and I was the blindest man alive. I didn't know it yet, but the woman sleeping beside me every night was already living another life, one that would soon shatter mine beyond recognition. It was a Thursday night, ordinary in every way, or so I thought. Claire stood in front of the mirror, applying her lipstick with slow, careful strokes. She looked stunning, almost too stunning for a simple business dinner. Her perfume lingered in the air, a scent she'd never worn before. "Don't wait up for me," she said softly, straightening her dress. "It might run late." I smiled and nodded, pretending not to notice the flicker of guilt that crossed her eyes. I told myself she deserved her freedom. She worked hard, after all. But deep down, something didn't feel right. Hours later, while searching for my car keys in her purse, I found a receipt folded neatly between her wallet and a compact mirror. It wasn't for a restaurant. It was for a hotel, dated that very night. My chest tightened. The name printed beside hers wasn't familiar. I sat there for a long time, the paper trembling in my hands. 1,000 thoughts rushed through my mind: denial, anger, confusion. Maybe it was for work, I told myself. Maybe I was overthinking. But the seed of doubt had already taken root, and once it's planted, it grows fast. That night, I didn't sleep. Every sound, every silence in the house felt heavier than usual. The woman I loved had become a stranger in my own home, and I was beginning to realize it. The next morning, Claire acted as if nothing had happened. Cheerful, effortless, flawless. She kissed my cheek, wished me a good day, and left for work like she always did. But something inside me had shifted. That small piece of paper, that hotel receipt, had burned a hole in my heart. I told myself I needed proof, not paranoia. So I started watching her, not openly, quietly, carefully, like a man studying a puzzle he didn't want to solve. I noted the time she left home, the messages she received, the way she guarded her phone as if it held her soul. A week later, I installed a tracking app on her phone, disguised as a harmless photo-sharing tool. It wasn't easy. My hands shook as I did it, feeling both guilty and desperate. But love mixed with suspicion creates a poison that's impossible to cure. The data came in slowly. Most days, she went to work, the grocery store, her usual places. But on Thursdays, always Thursdays, her location would stop at an address I didn't recognize. A luxury apartment complex across town. At first, I convinced myself it must be a client's place, maybe a meeting. But when I drove there one evening, sitting in my car across the street, I saw her step out, radiant in a red dress I'd never seen before. She checked her reflection in a window, smiled, and disappeared inside. My heart pounded so loud I could barely breathe. I waited for an hour, hoping she'd come out, hoping I'd misunderstood everything. But she didn't. When I finally drove home, my knuckles were white on the steering wheel. I didn't have answers yet, only the sickening certainty that the woman I trusted was living a life I knew nothing about. The following Thursday, I couldn't take the not knowing anymore. I left work early, my pulse thrumming in my ears like a drum. I parked across the street from that same apartment building, a place that now felt like the edge of the world. Minutes crawled by like hours. Then I saw her. Claire, my wife. She stepped out of a cab, wearing a soft cream-colored coat and heels I'd never seen before. She was smiling, the kind of smile I hadn't seen in months. A smile that wasn't meant for me anymore. She rang the buzzer, and within seconds, the door opened. A man stood there, tall, sharply dressed, maybe early 40s. His hand rested gently on her waist as she entered. That simple, intimate gesture shattered something inside me. I wanted to storm in, to scream, to demand answers, but I didn't. Instead, I sat there in shadows, gripping my phone so tightly it hurt. I raised it, hands trembling, and took a few photos through the window when the curtain shifted just enough. Inside, I saw her laughing, not politely, but freely, beautifully, as if she were a woman reborn. They poured wine, sat close, and shared secrets I was never meant to hear. That moment felt like dying slowly, breath by breath. Every memory, every kiss, every whispered promise turned to ash in my mind. When she finally left 2 hours later, I followed her car at a distance. She drove home, slipped into bed beside me, and kissed my shoulder as if nothing had happened. Her skin smelled faintly of perfume and deceit. I lay awake the whole night, staring at the ceiling, realizing the woman I loved was gone, and the stranger sleeping next to me had taken her place. It wasn't just betrayal anymore. It was something far worse, a double life, hidden behind soft words and sweet smiles. And I knew then that I wouldn't rest until I uncovered every last truth she had buried beneath her lies. After that night, sleep became a stranger. Every morning, Claire's soft good morning felt like a dagger wrapped in silk. She carried on as if nothing was wrong, making breakfast, humming songs, smiling that same practiced smile. But all I could see were the lies glittering behind her eyes. I needed to know everything, not just the affair, the why, the how long, the who she had become. So I dug deeper. Through the tracking app, I traced her digital footprints, online accounts, new email addresses, hidden payments. What I found made my stomach twist. Claire wasn't just cheating. She had built an entirely new life. She called herself Clara Dawson. Under that name, she had an apartment lease, a separate phone number, and social media accounts where she posed as a single freelance designer. Every post painted her as carefree, independent, and unattached, a woman untouched by marriage. And the man, Lucas, was her client, a wealthy businessman who had no idea she was married. Photos of them together at charity events, rooftop dinners, weekend getaways. It was all there online, hidden in plain sight. I stared at her pictures for hours. My wife smiling beside another man, her arm hooked around him like they belonged together. She looked alive, radiant, complete. That hurt more than anything, because somewhere along the line, she had stopped living our life and started living hers, a life where I didn't exist. I realized then that she hadn't just betrayed me. She'd erased me. Every moment we'd shared, every dream we'd built. She had rewritten it under a different name, a different man, a different truth. And I swore that night, if she wanted to live a double life, I'd make sure both of them came crashing down. By the time Friday came, I couldn't pretend anymore. Every word that left her mouth sounded rehearsed. Every touch felt hollow. I had lived in denial long enough. It was time to face the truth, even if it broke me. That evening, I cooked dinner, her favorite, roasted salmon with lemon butter, just like old times. She seemed surprised but pleased, sitting across from me with that same effortless grace. The woman who had destroyed me looked so calm, so composed. Halfway through the meal, I slid my phone across the table. On the screen were the photos, her and Lucas, the apartment lease under the name Clara Dawson, the smiling faces that had haunted my nights. For a moment, she froze. Her fork clattered against the plate. Then, slowly, she looked up, her expression shifting, not to guilt or shame, but to cold defiance. "So you found out," she said quietly. No tears, no explanations. Just that emotionless acceptance. "Why?" I whispered. "After everything we built, everything I gave you, why?" She leaned back, her eyes hard. "Because you were never enough for me, Octavoius." You made me feel trapped, invisible. With him, I felt alive. Her words sliced deeper than any knife could. I sat there in silence, staring at the woman I once thought was my forever. In that moment, something inside me shattered completely, not just love, but trust, hope, faith. But beneath the pain, something else began to take shape. A cold, quiet resolve. She thought she had taken everything from me, but she hadn't seen the other side of me yet, the side she had created herself. And that side was about to rise. After that night, Claire stopped pretending. The warmth between us evaporated, leaving only silence and the ghost of what used to be. She still lived in the same house, but it no longer felt like home, just walls filled with memories that mocked me. I spent my nights thinking, planning, not out of rage, but out of clarity. She had played her game well, but I was about to end it with precision. The first step was simple. Our joint bank accounts. She thought I never paid attention to finances, but I had quietly built a separate savings account in my name years ago. I transferred the remaining balance from our shared funds, leaving her with nothing but her lies to hold on to. Then came Lucas. I gathered everything. The photos, the documents, the fake ID, the apartment lease under Clara Dawson. I wrote an anonymous email and attached them all. The subject line read, "You should know who she really is." It didn't take long. By the next week, their world began to crumble. Lucas confronted her. Publicly, I heard about the argument from one of Claire's friends. How he called her a liar. How he'd thrown her out of his apartment in front of everyone. Her perfect second life, shattered. But I wasn't done. I contacted her employer, forwarding the same proof. Her use of fake credentials, her business dinners, her misuse of company funds for her double life. Within days, she was suspended, under investigation for fraud and breach of contract. When she came home that evening, she found the house empty, my clothes gone, my things packed. On the kitchen table lay her wedding ring, and a note that read, "Now you can live your lives full time." I walked away without looking back. No shouting, no tears, just quiet satisfaction. She had built her world on deception. I simply helped her watch it burn. And for the first time in months, I felt something close to peace. Not joy, not victory, just a cold, clean calm that came from knowing justice had been served. It didn't take long for everything to collapse around her. The woman who once walked with confidence, dressed in elegance and pride, was now a shadow of herself. After I left, Claire tried to reach me. Endless calls, messages, even showing up at my office. I ignored them all. Her voice, once my comfort, now sounded like poison. Within days, the news spread. Lucas had exposed her at a corporate event, called her a liar in front of clients and friends, showing them the same proof I'd sent him. The story caught fire in her circle, and soon everyone knew. The whispers followed her everywhere. The woman with two names. Her employer acted fast. She was fired for misconduct and investigated for falsifying documents. The luxury apartment she'd kept for her secret life was repossessed. The fake identity she had so carefully built crumbled like paper in the rain. Friends she used to gossip would now cross the street to avoid her. Her family, ashamed and confused, distanced themselves. The woman who once thought she could live two lives now had none. One night, she came to our old house, the place that used to be ours. I saw her from a window, standing in the rain, clutching something in her hand. Maybe her wedding ring, maybe regret. She stayed for a long time, staring at the door that would never open again. For a moment, I almost pitied her. Almost. But then I remembered every lie, every look. Every night she came home smelling of another man, and the pity faded. Her downfall wasn't just karma. It was the truth finally catching up, and I had simply helped it find its way. Months passed. The chaos that once ruled my nights slowly faded into a strange, quiet peace. The house that had once echoed with her laughter now felt calm, empty, but calm. I poured myself into work, into rebuilding what she had tried to destroy. Every blueprint I drew, every late night in the office, became a small piece of my healing. I started running again, traveling to places I'd only dreamed of visiting. For the first time in years, I was living for myself, not for the illusion of love I'd once clung to. People asked where Claire was, and I'd simply say, "Gone." I didn't know anyone the story. The past was heavy, but it no longer chained me. Then, one morning, a letter arrived. Her handwriting, shaky, uncertain. I hesitated before opening it. "Octavoius, I know I don't deserve forgiveness. I lost everything, my job, my home, my dignity. But losing you is a punishment I can never escape. I see your face in every quiet moment, and I hate the woman I've become. I hope someday you find peace, even if it's without me." I read it once, then folded it carefully. I didn't cry. I didn't rage. I simply walked to the fireplace, set it down, and watched the flames swallow her words. Because forgiveness wasn't what I needed. Closure was. As the ashes turned to dust, I realized something. I had survived her betrayal, her lies, her double life. And in the end, I had won not by destroying her, but by finally letting her go. 6 months later, life had found a new rhythm. The anger that once consumed me had turned into quiet strength. I had a new job opportunity, a major renovation project in the city. When the client's name came across my desk, I froze for a second. Lucas Grant. Fate has a strange sense of humor. Part of me wanted to refuse, to avoid reopening old scars. But another part, the calm, collected part of me that had survived hell, wanted to face it. So I accepted. The day of the meeting, I arrived at the high-rise apartment. Lucas greeted me at the door. Older, colder, his confidence dimmed. The same apartment where Claire's lies had lived now stood stripped and empty, like a stage after the show had ended. He extended his hand. "Octavoius, right? Glad you could make it." I smiled lightly. "Of course. Let's rebuild this place, make it look brand new." As I walked through those rooms, memories flickered like ghosts, laughter, wine glasses, betrayal. But they no longer hurt. They were just echoes of a life that no longer belonged to me. When I left that day, sunlight hit the glass towers, reflecting gold across the skyline. It felt like a silent sign. The past was gone, burned clean. Claire had destroyed my world once, but I had built something stronger from the ashes. And this time, the life was truly mine.